loves. In tonight's video, we're going to be discussing feminine grace and femininity in the 21st century, so to speak. And we're also going to discuss some other ways we can maybe make ourselves a little more feminine to begin with, because sometimes I need a reminder myself. So, to start, we start one of the most feminine things you can do is One of the most feminine things you can do is brush your hair, whether you have long hair, short hair, it doesn't matter. And keeping your hair tangle free, making yourself look presentable to the public. I know we all have days where we just don't want to do anything, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not faulting you for that at all. But like when we're out in public or we're around a lot of people, it's always good to keep up proper appearances and such things, because that's what people like to see is a pretty face. So applying a natural looking makeup is going to be the key to getting that beautiful natural highlights on your cheeks. A soft pink or a soft red is chef's kiss when it comes to really accenting your cheeks. Also, not using a lot of foundation because you don't want to look cakey when applying it, as long as you apply it the correct way. Using different highlighters, if it's not the proper shade of highlighter, it can come off very clown-like look, as well as contour as well. Things that are like editorial, what you see in magazines, where it's really heavy on the smoky eyes, and things that with a lot of colors that really just make the eyes pop, leave that for events like concerts, perhaps really loud, elaborate parties like Christmas parties, birthday parties, things like that. So if you're going to the office, wear a soft, subtle kind of makeup. Eyeliner is perfectly fine. It's what I'm actually wearing right now. And it's also really the only thing I wear. I do wear lip gloss from time to time, but I find it to be really sticky. So, again, this is a personal preference, not anybody else's. If you work in a corporate setting or just a regular 9 to 5 job, do not do any crazy hair colors, obviously, like what I have on my hair right now. I don't work in an office block, so I do have this. However, using natural colors like any shade of brown, any shade of blonde, and even a mahogany red is also going to let people know that you have very soft, very feminine features. And it's also one of the things that demands a lot of respect when you work in an office. Speaking softly and gently is another attribute of having feminine grace and feminine energy. Also, kind of a feminine aura, if you will. It's something that can be really done really well because you don't want people to think you're too overbearing. But again, certain situations arise where you need to get your point across. Maybe don't go that route. But in a general tone to your audience, you want to remain soft, you want to remain relatable, and you don't want to seem as if you are yelling to someone or to a camera like that. No matter where you are in life, being sensitive to your audience and to those around you is also another key feature of feminine grace. Having empathy for somebody who perhaps has just lost a loved one or a pet or someone very close to them is really going to have that nurturing feeling. And somebody who has just lost someone really needs that kind of coddling situation because they need to know they're not alone in the situation, and they want to be heard, and they want to maybe have that hug one more time. Perhaps it's from somebody that they just lost and they're really needing that physical touch. Also, children are another great example. Sorry. Children need loving and caring homes. They need people who understand them, people who are going to get down to their level and get physically, emotionally in their aura and know that they have a safe place to go, because children who grow up in chaotic environments also have chaotic adulthoods. It's not something we want to pass on, especially generational trauma, but it's something that we, as ourselves in this generation, can take with us. Nurturing and healing your loved ones is another great response tool. Children need love, kindness, and compassion, especially growing up in today's world. Now, if you don't have children, maybe your pets are your babies, and that's perfectly okay. Maybe you adopted a child, or two, or three, it doesn't matter. Kids still need loving, feminine energies, especially from mom, because they need to know that that parent is their safe space and they need to know that we care and their feelings are heard and that they can come to us with any problems. Even if it's somebody close to you that's having a problem, maybe they just need somebody to talk to. So, in that case, you would be that person's safe space. And that's really what everybody needs, especially in today's day and age. Some things that women can do to be a little more feminine is waxing our eyebrows because let's face it, I'm guilty. I had some bushy man looking eyebrows back in the day. And my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my husband says, I cannot be with a girl whose eyebrows are worse than mine. And he was right. And lo and behold, this is the shape we get today. Also, uh, waxing. Some of us have PCOS, like me. If you're not familiar with that, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. So that means we have some stuff wrong with us. However, it can overproduce hair, especially hair on our chin and on our upper lips. I actually get mine waxed every 3 weeks because of how much hair I grow, because nobody wants to be kissing a girl with a beard unless she has a medical condition, but that's about the extent of it. Yes, I know PCOS is a medical condition. I'm not referring to that. I'm talking what is called werewolf syndrome, I believe. So that's what I'm referring to. Another area to really wax is your legs and your underarms because I know personally I don't like hairy underarms. I have a friend who waxes her arms every 2 weeks because of how much hair she grows. Because let's face it, nobody wants to be looking like a gorilla. Some girls even opt to do the bikini area because let's face it, nobody wants to look like they're smuggling Chewbacca in their undershorts, okay? So, although that is also something you can do, just know it is also very, very painful. Now, some people's pain tolerance is higher than others, I will say that, but mine is not. So I can say mine always hurt incredibly, incredibly a lot. So leave that, be that as it may, it's also just an option. Now, the next one is very controversial tattoos. I can't really say too much on the subject because I have multiple tattoos. I have 15 of them. However, me personally, I always wanted feminine tattoos like butterflies, some scriptures, and things like that. But I can hide my tattoos. I have my sweater on. You can't see all of them, but just showing it off right now. I personally like to be able to show off my tattoos when I want to. I'm not a huge fan of tattoos all over the body, but again, that is my personal choice. And if a girl chooses to have tattoos all over her body, blacked out ink, whatever they want to, whatever it's called in the tattoo world, I say, you know what? More power to you. But again, this is my personal choice. Now, certain places in Africa and Asia, women use neck rings to provide a more feminine energy to them. Again, this was all done by men way back in the day, but this is their culture. However, the newer generations, like yours and I's, are adopting not to do the neck rings because they see it as a symbol of patriarchy and not a symbol of beauty anymore. They see it as a symbol of we're taking control, we're going to do what we say. And I would say about 80% of the girls that live in those cultures do not do them anymore. They're wanting actual jobs to not stay at home and raise children and things of that nature. That much I do know. Now, in other cultures, like the one I'm married into, the Spanish culture, men tend to believe that a woman that has more curves to her, like a bigger natural backside, curvier upper areas and things of that nature means she's more fertile, and that couldn't be farther from the case. A lot of that has to do with genetics and not a feminine grace as well. Now, I will say, in my personal experience, Spanish women have a lot of feminine grace and a lot of feminine energy. My mother in law being one of them, it was because of her that I got in touch with more of my feminine side, which I will forever be grateful to her for that. But I still do love my own tomboy side of things, and that's something my husband has learned how to live with over these past 15 years. Just because a female is curvy does not actually mean she can have children. However, a lot of cultures still believe that they can when that's not actually the case. In China, feminine femininity right now in the 21st century, women will actually only be allowed to cut their hair once in their lifetime, and it's typically when they're 18, they get married or have children. And different hairstyles actually represent where she is, and their hair grows so long that it's past their feet and they wash their hair in rice water. So it's a really interesting culture that you should totally go look up, because I want to go one day and experience it. Females, I believe, should always present themselves at first in a very soft, toned manner, because you always want to be respectful of somebody else's culture. Obviously, if they're not respectful of yours, then I can't say anything. However, when going to a new country and experiencing these new things and new traditions that you have never experienced it before, you want to embody yourself and poise yourself as a very accepting, open minded person, because if you go in with a certain your kind of mindset, you're not going to be able to enjoy and experience things in the feminine way, like with the geishas and things of that nature. It's something that you always want to lend your ear, lend your heart, and experience things in a way where you know it's going to make such a difference in your body and your soul and in your mind. Not wearing too much perfume, cologne, body mists, body sprays, whatever it is you choose to wear, is also another key to feminine grace, feminine energy. Although there is no technical defined characteristics kind of thing, it's just like universal patterns that cease to exist or that do exist. Having too much body spray on can really choke people and make them really off-putting from you yourself, because in my opinion and in my experience, if someone is doing that, they're covering up some sort of smell that they just cannot get rid of. And if that's the case, you need to go to your doctor and figure something out. I hope you have found this video helpful and informative, and I hope that you find your inner feminine side in the beginning, and especially with other cultures. So go out and start exploring the world.